Imagine having only 3 minutes to see, hug, and talk to your loved ones after more than a decade without them. That was the case for about 4,000 borderland residents who walked along the banks of the Rio Grande. A once-in-a-lifetime chance for family members stuck on opposite sides of the river to see each other without officially crossing into each other's countries. 300 families met right on the border, wearing white shirts in Mexico and blue in America. Crossing through mud and water in the riverbed, families were reunited after years of separation. Families split by the countries hugged, cried, and caught up. The Border Network for Human Rights organizing the event, bringing families together for the second Hugs Not Walls meeting. For some, it had been as many as 15 years without seeing each other. Many family members meeting for the first time, from great-grandparents and babies to brand-new brothers-in-law.
They had mixed legal status, or they don't have legal status in the United States, so they cannot travel to Juarez. And the ones in Juarez, they cannot get visas. It's very difficult to get visas to go to visit your family.
Watching over the families was the Border Patrol. Even with thousands of people mingling in the river, agents say the job was easy.
The Border Network for Human Rights has done a great job in coordinating this event and ensuring that people follow the rules and the regulations involved with this type of event. So for us, it's easy to maintain this type of event.
After their 3 minutes were up, everyone had to go back home. White shirts to Mexico, blue to America, not knowing when they'll see their families again. He says being in the U.S. is a privilege, but it's like a golden jail cell. You have everything, but you don't have your family. This was the second event like this. The Border Network for Human Rights says they're hoping to hold a third family meeting event, but don't know when it will be. Julio-Cesar Chavez, ABC 7. Buses, taxis, and now private cars are helping people get around Ciudad Juarez. Now that Uber has launched in our sister city, some think it will be an uphill battle to overcome the dominance of an entrenched taxi industry. Some of the people we spoke with told us random kidnappings would make them leery of getting in a car with a stranger who's not part of a company they know and trust. But in the city where taxis have reigned for years, one Uber driver thinks people will make the switch. He says with time, people will learn more about Uber and get used to the service. People we spoke with say it's not really a question of which is cheaper or faster, rather who they feel safer with.
Tomaría un taxi.
She says she'll still take a taxi home after a night out with friends, saying she feels more comfortable with the established industry.
El Uber llega en menos de 5 minutos y es más seguro.
Another young woman said she actually prefers Uber, thinking it's faster and she feels safer. Our driver and riders we spoke with say they expect most Juarez users to be people who've used Uber in other cities. Some El Pasoans say they even look forward to using the car service in Juarez.
From El Paso to the airport would be awesome.
Other Juarenses told me they'll just stick to taking the bus. Reporting from Ciudad Juarez, Julio-Cesar Chávez, ABC 7. It's no secret healthcare costs are rising sharply. Across the country, a surprising number of Americans are turning to Mexico for cost-effective medical treatment.
Right now it's 50%. Mexicans or other countries is 50%, and the other one is from the US and Canada, 50%.
The suffering peso exchange rate is just part of the story. Treatments priced in dollars are cheaper, too.
It can be 2 to 1, 50% of the price of the US or less. Depends of the procedure you want to do.
Patients, we found, are more than happy with the quality of their care.
Hablan más con él y...
One of the best differences, she says, is being able to speak longer with the doctor, getting more personal care instead of only a few minutes. The number of Americans coming to Mexico for medical care is only expected to grow, with some worried that Obamacare is unaffordable, while an overhaul could leave them with no insurance. Now, Mexican hospitals are doing sophisticated marketing, forming clusters and partnering with hotels.
Con esta integración de estos servicios complementarios.
By integrating hospital and hotel services, they're hoping to cater to patients and the family members who come with them. And Mexican hospitals are reaching out to American insurance companies, looking to demonstrate the quality of care necessary to warrant coverage in Mexico. Reporting from Ciudad Juarez, Julio-César Chávez, ABC 7. Juan Gabriel arrived into Juarez Saturday, his ashes driven through El Paso and over to his adopted hometown.
Representa la esencia de Juárez.
Fans saying he represents the essence of the city, someone humble who worked their way to the very top. Thousands showing up from the borderland and beyond, everyone singing along to his songs and paying their respects to El Divo de Juárez.
Que aquí estamos todos reunidos para darle su despedida.
One fan happy to be at the funeral to say goodbye and to welcome him back home. A funeral and mass were held outside Juanga's home, followed by a concert. Once everything was over, the streets were mostly clear, but that didn't stop people from visiting his home to drop off flowers and mourn the loss of the city's favorite son.
I don't think anyone will ever be a Juan Gabriel again. The music he wrote, the feelings he had. I don't think there's going to be another Juan Gabriel in a long time.
And it's here at Juan Gabriel's Juarez home, where his mother once worked as a maid and servant, that his ashes will be set. The house itself turning into a museum and a mausoleum. Reporting from Ciudad Juarez, Julio-Cesar Chavez, ABC 7. According to the State Department, at least 1 million Americans live in Mexico. Thousands cross back and forth between El Paso and Juarez every day. Just like any other American citizen, those living in Mexico have a right to vote. And it looks like El Pasoans living outside the county want their voices heard.
We've gotten almost 12,000 requests, so we have gotten a lot. We've had, I think, a little over 5,000 ballots returned already. Elections Administrator Lisa Wise said that's more than double the number of absentee ballots requested for the 2012 election. And those El Pasoans, wherever they are in the world, must take into account the longer travel time of international post and see that their vote is in this office by Election Day. It's very important because otherwise it won't count. I mean, the law doesn't have any wiggle room on that. We don't, we follow very closely what the code says. And so once the deadline is met, then that's the end of it. There are 3 ways to vote if you're an American living in Juarez. The first, and frankly the slowest, would be to bring a filled out ballot to a post office, pay for international postage, and have them send it all the way into the U.S. The second and easiest way for you to vote is to bring your filled out ballots here to the U.S. consulate in Juarez and have them mail it in for you. The third and best way to make sure that your vote is counted on time is to simply just walk on over and cast your ballot in the neighborhood in which you're registered.
I'm voting in person, my parents are voting in person, my brother's voting in person, some friends are voting like right here at UTEP. Camila Hernandez is one of hundreds of UTEP students who live in our sister city. She's been a U.S. citizen for the past 4 years and is making sure her vote counts. We're the future of the country, and we should learn that starting from now that we're able to vote, we should go out there and let our voices be heard. El Paso voters like Camila are set to exercise their right to vote, whether in El Paso, from Juarez, or beyond. Julio-Cesar Chávez, ABC 7.